Hi guys, I'm Shmee, and today is a little bit of an errand day. I've got some tasks to do, take some of the cars to the car wash, but first, let's talk about the Shmini. Now, a couple of you have noticed that I haven't driven it very much recently, basically because I've been away. I've done this long trip in the GT8. Before that, we had Where's Shmee with the LT and the Vanquish, so pretty much this has sat at home, only being driven once or twice to keep it running. But you might remember not too long ago, we put a new battery in the car because, as it was before, it was basically just going flat. With the old battery, you could imagine it wasn't liking it to stay alive very much. So I'm going to jump in it today and check basically if it's still alive, unlock it. You have a very fiddly key system to get in here, because you have keys for the fuel cap, keys for the door, keys for the ignition, but in theory all should work fine. Your mobilizer light is off. Let's fire this into life. And we're straight into life. So this seems to be doing a great job. I've got my stacks of tyres in front, but I'm going to take this out. And today, like I said, it's a little bit of an errand day. I'm going to start off taking this over to the storage to pick up the LT, which needs to go for a wash because basically it hasn't been cleaned since Goodwood Supercar Sunday, when we took the LT, the GTA, the Vanquish and the FF down to Goodwood about a month ago now. So they've all been sat there uncleaned, unloved, because I haven't had time since then. So we'll go pick up the LT, see if the Mini's running well on the way over there, and just go from there, see what the day has in store. Well, it's a rather lovely day today. Britain does sometimes get a tiny bit of summer, although I was saying that yesterday and then pretty shortly after the rain started, but driving this thing around London, it really is just perfect. And for what I'm using it for at the moment is basically driving from my home to where the other cars are stored, which has become kind of like the ideal car for it, because I can just drive it along, don't worry about it, have fun. I mean, it's 30 mile an hour road speed limits anyway. But people keep sort of saying, why don't you sell it? What do you need it for? Well, what's the point in selling it? It's fun to drive, it's awesome to own, and it's got, I guess, such a following. I mean, loads of you guys out there love these old Minis, and so do I. You just drive it and it puts a smile on your face. Nothing else matters. Even though we're going to go and take it now to pick up a car that's worth like 40 times what this is worth, which is quite funny. So we'll go find the LT. So that's an odd little lineup, the Mini between the FF and the LT. So I'm going to take out the LT right now, go get that sorted out. But firstly, just a quick moment about the FF. So you guys have been asking a lot, what cars are going to be going on Streetgasm? Well, on the Streetgasm rally, I am going to be taking the FF. It is noisy, it is luxurious, it is perfect for the GT drive, and when we're on the awesome roads, it's going to be pretty fun as well. So we're going to be driving from Amsterdam down through towards Italy, where I'm going to continue an adventure in that car. But we're also going to be joined by Renntech with the AMG GT S. So you're going to be hearing a lot of noise between the V8 and the V12, the two cars driving together, so there's more to come on that, as well as the meetups we're going to do. We're going to do one in Amsterdam, so on the Saturday, literally the coming Saturday, we're going to be in Amsterdam to do a meetup. So follow the Shmee150 Facebook page for more info about where that's going to be. And also at 10 AM on the Sunday before the start flag drops for Streetgasm for this year's event. So the FF's going to be heading over for that. I'll get that ready in the week. Just make sure everything's fine with it. But for the moment, it's LT time. So this hasn't been started in a while either, but it's been on the trickle charger, so all should be completely fine. Let's hit the start button. And into life, just like it should. So off we go. So the weather is lovely, which naturally means driving with the roof down to get plenty of those cracks. I don't drive this car too often anymore in London. I've saved it to the big road trips, you know, Fuel Faction Aina, the Where's Shmee tour, which is why it's done about 7,000 miles now, which probably makes it the highest mileage LT Spider out there. I don't know if there are any others. Maybe McLaren Factory probably have one with more miles on it, but for a customer car, it's so good. Okay, here we are at Posh Wash. Yeah, for a customer car, it must be one of the most. But today, it's lovely to enjoy just cruising along in this thing, even though in London, it can be a little bit of a stress, which is why I prefer to drive the smaller cars, the Focus, the Mini, but we'll get it cleaned up. Key swap time at Posh Wash. So the GT8 has been here following the Mille Miglia. I had the stickers taken off and obviously the whole thing cleaned up because it had done a couple of thousand miles around Europe for Fuel Faction Due, then for Mille Miglia, and it was filthy. It should now be very nice, which it is. There's a Mustang just there, red 5-litre Mustang. But yes, I'm going to take this back over to the storage in a second. Breaking glass. Everything nice and clean, apart from my rag that I need to get rid of. Used for last minute cleaning. But yeah, all good. So then, let's fire this up. Oh yeah. So, GT8, the cacophony of noise that this thing makes is always a delight, but basically I'm just driving it back to park it up, plug it into the trickle charger, and then put it undercover where it's going to sit and be peaceful for a while I go off on the next adventure, because I'll be away in the FF for a couple of weeks. But just driving it is always so much fun, especially with the exhaust valve open. Today's one of those days, just drive each car, keep them running, park them up, make sure everything's well, look after them. These things need a lot more looking after than you actually realise. Not that that's a problem, it's quite fun to do, but you do have to think about it. I've also got to sort out some road tax for some cars. I've got to pay for some storage, you know, all this kind of stuff. Just get it all done. I'm back in the garage, but you might notice down there is a little puddle of fluid, right where the LT Spider was parked. So this is not exactly the world's best news, because I can tell you exactly what that is. That is hydraulic suspension and steering fluid. So it has clearly leaked out right under the center of the car and under the rear right wheel where the car was parked. I've actually seen it before. It's a thing that McLarens sometimes seem to do. So the car is over at Posh Wash and clearly now needs to be McLaren assisted back to a dealership to find the cause of that leak and get that sorted, which is not what I planned today. But like I was saying earlier, these cars have lots of sort of small little issues and niggles that need fixing and sorting out. And I don't know why that's happened, why that's chosen to happen right now. I don't think it will be connected to anything else. But clearly, as I turn the car on, I guess it's leaked because this is still wet, this is still fresh, this hasn't had time to dry. So it can't have leaked until I fired it up. I'm sure somebody at McLaren will be able to work out why that is and hopefully fix it. But yeah, that is not the thing I wanted to deal with today. Sometimes you don't really have a choice, do you? So I'll clean that up, then I will get on the phone to McLaren Assist and work out how to get the car picked up. Back at Posh Wash to sort out the LT, but that is not actually my only problem today. At my home, my kitchen is flooded. The dishwasher, one of the sort of piping or hosing bits has come out and there is water everywhere, so I've got to sort that out today too. But for the moment, the LT, I don't actually know if there is a problem or not a problem right now, because I had it sat here for about an hour outside and just pulled it forward and there's no water mess anywhere. So whatever had leaked out, there's no more seemingly leaking out. So I think I've just got to leave it for the moment, hope everything ends up okay and not worry about it. But this is one of the sort of problems of these cars. They're like delicate little children. You have no idea what they need and how much looking after they require. So I've ended up with that clean, this not clean, and because the day's gone by, Posh Wash is now closed, so we can't clean the Mini, which needs it badly. Looking at that, needs it really badly. Hasn't been cleaned probably for about 3 months more, I don't even know. But I'm going to take one car home, then come back for the other. A little bit of complexity today, but yes, not really my day. One thing after another to sort out today. That is kind of how it is. Let's just hope that this is going to be all right. I'll update later on. It's only about a mile from here, fortunately, so obviously very gentle, looking out for any signs of any misbehaviour. Fingers crossed it's going to be okay. That process is all done. One significantly cleaner Mini now parked up in the garage. The Focus is also upstairs, and if you're wondering why I haven't been driving it recently, it's because my dad has had it and he now has the Vanquish. So I've got the Focus RS back, which I'll probably use for something. I mean, I've just been using it to load stuff around normal life, not for any specific videos. The Vanquish will disappear for a couple of weeks. I'm not going to drive it, of course, while my dad's got it. And this seems to basically be the way. While I go off on the FF trip, then I've got some other trips afterwards in other cars, mine all sort of dotted around doing all sorts of weird things. But I know you guys like to know what's going on and where everything is. But basically, if I ever actually sell a car, I will let you know. So you'll know when a car is going somewhere. And if I haven't done an update with it, hopefully I will do at some point in the not too distant future after that. It gets very confusing, and obviously I'm away so much. These days I am literally always on the road, which means when I do come home, it's sorting things out, and a bit more sorting things out. And the next thing I need to do is the MOT. So when a car is 3 years old in the UK, obviously this is substantially more than 3 years old, it has to have an annual check to make sure it's running properly, things just working as they should, headlights, handbrakes, all the usual stuff to make sure the car is basically roadworthy. The Mini is now coming up to a year. I've owned it for just shy of a year now, which means basically it had its last MOT when I bought it. It needs to get another MOT very, very soon. So that's the next thing on my list to sort out with this car. I think everything else is pretty much up to scratch. The Focus is about to be a year old, which just seems bizarre that I have basically had the Focus RS for a year. In fact, let's jump up to it. Magic! So the Focus is about to be a year old, which again means new road tax. I think in this car it's about £300, £400 a year. Not too bad. With new cars coming through in the UK now, like the AMG GT when that arrives in October, it's £2,000 to register it for the first year, which is a pretty hefty whack of road tax. Now, you might have seen the new option pack or limited edition Focus RS that has just come out. This obviously grabbed my attention big time. In the US and Canada, you can now get the Focus RS with a limited slip diff for the front and in race red, which just looks cool. Comes with things like the black roof, the black spoiler, and it also comes with Focus RS badges like we did at Dub Customs, but now you can get those from new. But sadly, in the UK, we don't get the limited edition. We get 2018 Focus RS like this in nitrous blue with an option pack. So I guess I'm loosely considering upgrading this to a new one, but that doesn't really meet any purpose other than just moving into a new car because I like driving it so much. Focus RS is such, well, a brilliant car for me to use because it's fun, it's exciting, and just a perfect daily driver, all-wheel drive, all of that jazz. Anyway, let's leave that for a second, whiz over to the LT, see how that's doing. It's looking very lonely in this corner of the garage, but let's turn on the camera light. Have a look under here. I haven't actually seen prior to this. No more puddles. So that actually bodes quite well, but makes very little sense. So I'm gonna have to watch this over the coming days to see what's going on, see if I can work it out. Fingers crossed it's going to be completely fine, but you never know. With these things, they're very, very delicate. But yeah, leaky day around here. I seem to always have that problem. The Mini leaks, the LT Spider, different kind of leak I had in the south of France. Now obviously whatever's going on with this and with the kitchen. Oh dear, one of those days. Back in the UK sorting stuff out. But basically, that's pretty much it. Pretty spontaneous random vlog, sorry about that. Streetgasm is going to be in the FF and the Renntech GT S, so stay tuned for that. That should be pretty awesome. Then I'm going to continue my journey in the FF through Italy after that for more really cool stuff that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. And yeah, I don't really know what else to let you know about, but there's probably plenty more on the horizon, so stay tuned, stay subscribed, and I will catch up with you again very soon. Cheers!